Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. Last weekend, had a chance to do something that Sandy has dreamt about for many years. Got a chance to meet Donny Osmond. Now, Donny is doing a tour this summer. He has a Vegas show, and he's doing a tour this summer, and he came to Jacksonville. So we drove down to Jacksonville, and unfortunately, it was one of those typical Florida days where you get thunderstorms. They pop up around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we had to drive through one of them. Now, I've driven through snowstorms before, but, these thunderstorms can be just as treacherous and freaky. But the thing about the thunderstorms is it's always the timing of them. Doesn't it always seem to start pouring whenever you have to get out of the car? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So we drove down. We stopped at Wawa, of course, and it wasn't raining. And then by the time we get out, it starts raining again, and it starts pouring while we're going to where we're going to. And then we get to the hotel. It stopped. We unload the bags. I pull the car around. It starts pouring again. I got caught in the car for 10 minutes. Then it comes time for us to leave to go to the concert. Now, thankfully, we were staying on Riverwalk in Jacksonville, so we didn't have that far to go to the Florida Theater. But it was pouring. And, of course, me being the smart guy, not wanting to let Sandy get wet, I said, I'll pick you up at the front entrance. Well, some idiot decides to park his car there and get out and block everybody from going anywhere. So I'm sitting there for 10 minutes while this Nimrod did this. Okay. This was after, of course, it took us 20 minutes to check in because there was only one person handling check-ins. And it was right after 4 o'clock we were supposed to check in. So, downside. We get to the theater. I let Sandy out, and I have to go park. And it's still pouring rain. So I park at the garage across from where the theater is. And I have to run through, and she said, you got to come pick up the tickets. So I'm like a drowned rat. And then we have to go into the theater, and they set up the security, the metal detector, outside the theater. That was okay for us because we went right through. I got stopped again because of my hip. Yeah, my hip. So we went in, and I have to tell you, Donny Osmond was the most gracious person. He was wonderful. He was engaged. I had a really nice conversation with him because I showed him a picture that I had posted on Facebook of my old boss, Jerry, interviewing him 22 years ago. In Savannah, or excuse me, 52 years ago in Savannah. And then, of course, I got to meet him and talk to him. And I said, hey, come to Savannah. The show itself was really good, too. And it's a different perspective when you're sitting up close at a concert as opposed to when you're sitting back. Now, I am one of these concert people who really doesn't care where I sit. But I have to say I was really enjoyed this concert and was really engaged. Sandy had a great time. We enjoyed it. And Donny was wonderful. So, I will not say bad things about Donny Osmond. I mean, I give him a lot of credit for what he does, and he's been doing this all his life. And so that's what I'll say about that. The second thing I want to talk about this week, and I'm sure you do this too, but I'm one of these people who I learned when I was doing Weight Watchers a long time ago, or Nutrisystem, excuse me. Park away from the store and you can walk in and out. Of course, it doesn't help you if it's pouring rain, but I'm just saying, you get your steps in. And I have always done this. I have done this for, 30, 40 years. And I like to do that. But I'm also kind of particular. I park certain ways, certain times. So when Sandy and I go to a store, we go to the certain store, sure we stop all the time. We park on the side. And that's where we have our car all the time. Now, when I come myself, I tend to park in the front. Number one, because usually I'm going to go to 2 stores. But number 2, it's easier for me to get out and head to work that way. So, Monday morning, I pull up and I park in front. And not front, but I'm in the parking lot, but I parked away. And I walk to the store and I get my stuff and I walk to another store. Then I come out of the store and I'm like, okay, I got to go to my car. I'm not thinking. So I walk to the side of the store and look around and say, where's my car? And that moment of panic when you say, wait, where's my car? And then you go, oh no, you parked in the front, moron. And of course, I should mention that I parked like where the second store I went through was. So I basically had to walk even further. And I was just like, ugh. But I don't think it's. I just think it's kind of one of those things when you're busy and you got things on your mind. You don't think. You kind of react. Whereas normally it would have been easy for me to go to the second store and then go right to it because that's where I was parked in front of. But I didn't think about it. I was not thinking. You ever have those moments? I wouldn't say it's a senior moment, but maybe it is a senior moment. That's going to do it for Tripp's Take for August 1st, 2024. Love to hear your comments and questions about my podcast. You can email trippstake@gmail.com. Fantasy football players, the month of August is here. That means fantasy football is back. The Hall of Famer Mike Sheck and I are ready with another Fantasy Sultans podcast. We'll be dropping it in the next couple of weeks. You'll find it on Spotify for podcasters and YouTube. Just search for the Fantasy Sultans. Like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, go to WTRSradio.com online. Join me again next week for another edition of Tripp's Take. For now, I'm Tripp Rogers. Thanks for joining me. Make it a great one.